Here we are. Good morning to you. And let's look at matters Nigeria. And this time, let's cross over to Anambra State. Anambra State, where Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo is the governor. He's in charge. And there have been some sort of events. Everything is sort of now keyed for 2025. And I have been hearing, maybe you have as well, that there's no competition for 2025. There's no, it's almost like a walkover. But not so is what opposition are saying. Say, how do you mean? Okay, we'll find out what exactly is going on in Anambra State, where Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo has been holding sway. Our guest this morning is Dr. Alex Obiogbolu, who is the special advisor to Governor Soludo on political matters. A fine morning to you, Dr. Alex Obiogbolu. Did I say that right?
Good morning, Polari. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay. Now, very interesting in politics because there will be, those who are in charge, and there also will be opposition. And so, whereas I have heard from your camp that come 2025, there's no issue. Soludo will roll over again. The opposition has said, how can anybody speak like that? That, of course, everybody who knows anything about what's going on in Anambra State knows that what we need is a change, and that change is going to be coming. Okay, but before you come in on that, I remember that about 3 weeks or so ago, a group of all the political parties who, of course, by saying all the political parties, they weren't necessarily members of All Progressive Grand Alliance, the party in power in Anambra. They say they have come together to form something called Soludo ambassadors. So you can see that these are conflicting kind of signals for somebody who doesn't know what's going on in the politics of Anambra. Maybe you can sort of sort it out for us.
Well, Polari, good morning once again.
Thank you.
What's happening in Anambra is a lot of buzz of activities. I mean, work going on, about 400 kilometers of road going. The youth are being empowered. We're dealing with the security. We're dealing with the major source of problem to businessmen in Anambra that makes it difficult for businessmen to thrive in Anambra, which is the agbero, in quotes. That's the term for touts and harassment. And we have also done a lot on that, dealing with them. We set up what we call the SASA, which is the anti-touting group. And a lot, if you come into Onitsha today, which is the gateway of the Southeast, you'll see that there's calm and people are going about freely unmolested, unlike before.
Okay.
Now, let me just put it together.
Okay, sure. Because if you will, sorry, Dr. Alex, if you will, could you sort of recap on that whole matter of Soludo ambassadors made up of membership of...
That's what I was going to.
Okay.
So 3 weeks ago, a group of persons who came together and said, listen, even though we don't belong to your ABGA, we like the person of Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo. We like what he's doing. We like the fact that for a long time, we haven't seen this kind of developmental politics in the state, where, development is going on all facets of society. In education, in healthcare, we have 326 primary healthcare centers that have been fully refurbished and been sent to the secondary health sector, where you now have telemedicine, where doctors can see patients in the primary healthcare centers on a certain day using telemedicine. Now, you see the general hospitals being refurbished, being armed with equipments, modern day equipments in medical field. Now, this is what these young people came together and said, this is great. It's never happened before. You look at the roads, there was a road breakdown, total collapse in the previous regime. And you see us today, 360-something kilometers already being acted upon. And that 30-something kilometers have just been awarded. So they came together and said, listen, it's never happened before. It's never happened so good. In the first 2 years, I want to remind you that March next year, we'll be celebrating 2 years of the Soludo administration. And already there's a solution to everything. In education, you see the 5,000 teachers that were recruited. and pumped into the mission schools and also the public schools. And now we're recruiting another 3,000 this week into the primary and secondary schools. And then to alleviate the suffering on Nigerians, as part of the palliative, the state government decreed total free education in public primary schools and junior secondary schools. That means not a dime will be collected for any reason, not exam fees, not uniforms, nothing. And this has been implemented. And that relieves a lot of parents who hitherto paid about 15 to 20,000 per term. Now they are paying zilch, nothing. And apart from it, we are refurbishing schools this season. The primary schools are being refurbished. And then, of course, smart schools are being implemented. So with this kind of thing happening in education, in the health sector, free antenatal to relieve parents, you see pregnant women giving testimony that they didn't believe you could have free antenatal and food delivery services in the state. This will help bring down the under 5 mortality, bring down the maternal mortality rate, and you can see the results going on. Okay. So in terms of law and order, you can see what we'll be able to do with security. So these are the things these young people came, over 2,000 of them came together and said, hey guys, we want to support your government. We don't want to be part of ABGA, but we want to support your government.
Okay, well, indeed, that seems very, very encouraging. Because in the report that I read, PDP, one of the opposition parties, was part of that coming together. But then, in most recent times, they have been, to use the words of press headlines, slamming Soludo and APGA over the assertion and commentary that Anambra belongs to APGA. Of course, they're taking exception to that. Now, don't you think that's a bit optimistic to say that Anambra belongs to APGA? That would seem to indicate that or suggest that, you know, it's been locked down and that the people would not look at any option beyond APGA. PDP has taken serious exception to that and said that could not be further from the truth. What would be your commentary to them?
Well, if there was any political party that would even oppose that assertion, it shouldn't be PDP, because PDP is virtually obliterated in the state. I mean, in the last elections, even though PDP is the national party, they won no seat in the federal house, none. You know, of course, in the State House of Assembly, they won 4, and one of them has joined our party and now is the Speaker of the State Assembly. So what is happening is that people are beginning to see that years they've spent in these national parties have brought nothing to the state. And we all want at the end of the day that Indian Anambra should be the winners, no matter the political party in power, and Indian Anambra should be the winners. And unfortunately for them, ABGA continues to provide that platform that makes and enables Indian Anambra to always end up the winner. I'll give you, when you have a party that has stayed in government, at the helm of government for 18 years, how do you then say that it's not a statement of fact when they say that Anambra or that state is ABGA land? I mean, that is for us to say is a statement of fact. That does not share the fact that man proposes, God disposes. God has the final arbiter. But the statement of fact still remains that ABGA has continued to govern Anambra State. And that is because the people of Anambra believe in the spirit of ABGA. They believe in Oyanyana 1 year, no one is left behind. That is the slogan of the party. That is the party founded by the late Obiogbolu Ojukwu and so many other prominent Igbo leaders like Okadibo. And those of us who find ourselves by faith, by God's divine intervention, to be holding the helm of leadership in this party. We want to continue to meet the aspirations of our people while meeting the aspirations of the founders of this party. And I cannot therefore imagine why they will be opposing. I mean, 2025 will decide again. But like we said, Professor Charles Soludo applied for this job. Indian Anambra interviewed him, found him worthy of this job. And so far, they're very happy with him. And there's so many things going on, in the state.
Indeed.
We want to make Anambra a livable and prosperous state. We want to make it a destination of choice.
Okay.
Not a departure land where people are leaving the state before.
Okay. Again, looking at the reports, it is considered that the value of trade in the markets in Onitsha is in excess of 3 billion naira. I beg your pardon, dollars, $3 billion. And this, apart from the assertion from your very good self, your administration, that you're not even operating at maximum potential. And but sadly, a large proportion of this value that we're talking about is not through the banking channels. Could you explain that and what is being done? Because Governor Soludo, being a former central bank governor, this will be very, very important to him. When it is said that the value of up to $3 billion in the Onitsha axis is not through banked channels, does that hamper developmental efforts in some way?
Well, yes, in terms of collection of tax, it does hamper. But I want to tell you that, Nigeria today, there's a lot of informal sector trading going on and businesses. A lot of money is in the informal sector. And Anambra is not different from it. But what you have to acknowledge is the fact that while government wants to collect tax, government also wants the prosperity of the citizens, that the citizens prosper. And what the government is trying to do is to lay the foundation that enables the confidence building of the citizen in the formal channels, like the banks and the rest of them. But again, in as much as it's in the informal sector, a lot is still in the formal sector, because you need to look at the number of branches, banks that have branches in Anambra State. That would tell you that maybe second to Lagos and maybe Port Harcourt. I don't have the figures here, but we remain one of the top places where the banks operate in Nigeria. Now, what government is trying to do also is to listen. Let's go from consumptive commerce to productive and export. We want to be able to produce at home and export abroad, both in our human capital and also in the fiscal resources. So the government is planning an export period. There's already an industrial layout that has been developed or is ongoing right now at Oboji in Anambra State. You have the export period going to be part of that. We have the pharmaceutical wholesale industry in Oba. These places are being promoted by government, developed by government, to enable our businessmen to be able to prosper and do business flawlessly. Now, in terms of human capital, you see we have the Solution Innovation District. The plan is to arm our young people with modern-day technology and skills that will make them exportable abroad, and also the number one destination for information technology in Nigeria. We've done 20,000 persons have been trained on these digital skills. We have about 7,000 now going on the next stream of development in terms of web stack development. Now we have at the same time also trained 5,000 youths. In fact, those who just graduated were 4,118 about a month ago, who were given various sums of money to start their own businesses. What we did was we opened up a portal. These young people applied. We shortlisted 5,000 of them, and they did a workshop orientation that oriented them to what government wanted to do. And then they went into the next stage of training using the one boy model, where they trained under master trainers between 4 months to 6 months. After that, they had entrepreneurial training using the NDI, the EDI, with the University of Anambra University as the trainer, and they had certification, which is CBN affiliated certificate on entrepreneurship. After that, they were now given this money to go in and become successful people. Our hope is to build billionaires. Now, on the other scale, in terms of farming, agriculture, we distributed 1 million seedlings to various household families. Our target is to empower 500,000 households that we can lead them from poverty line. And we expect that at the end of the day, each family should be able to raise, once this fruit starts fruiting, palm oil and coconut seedlings, once they start fruiting, we expect each family to go home with about 1.2 million annually in terms of income. Now, that is a great deal. 100,000 per month for an average family. That has taken them away from poverty. So these are the kind of things the government is doing to develop human capital and make Anambra a destination of choice.
Indeed, it sounds very, very good, very encouraging. But as you know, security is very, very important as well. You spoke about, I think you've touched on the whole matter of touts in Anambra, and I think work is in progress to sort of find an, first of all, to show that there's no welcome for people who just want to tout on the wealth or potential wealth of Anambra, and that efforts are being made to find those of them that are willing some sort of alternative. But between the touts and insecurity in the state, tell me about the Soludo administration's efforts in that regard to make Anambra safe for people to visit, come and do business in, and generally, maybe even tourism.
Okay, when the administration assumed office, the first thing on March 17th it did was to hold a security meeting. Before March 17, 2022, we know that over 9 local governments were having issues with security. They were what we call the unknown gunmen. They had taken over these 9 local governments, 7 of them in the south. And what he did was to engage them first peaceably, appeal to them while we set up the security network by which we're going to engage them. What they did was, in conjunction with the federal security agencies, the Army, the Navy, and the state agencies, a strike force of about 250 men strike force was developed to combat these people. And within 6 months, we were able to deal with this. Most of the leaders were neutralized. Most are today going through the justice system. And what we did was to deal with that. Now, when you look at security threats that the state faces today, there are 3 categories. One, the non-state actors who have declared themselves ungovernable, that say they are unknown gunmen. 2, those who dwell in kidnapping for ransom and murder. 3, those who decide to dispossess innocent people of their wealth using touting system, aberos, aggressive. They will lay you on the road and stop you and take your possessions. Now, we'll be able to deal with the unknown gunmen. As a matter of fact, they are non-existent in the state now. What you have now is the remnants of those who are involved in kidnapping. And the state has been able to identify areas they have where they go, they come into the urban, strike, kidnap, and move to the edge of the state in the Orumba North, which is a border local government with Enugu State and Abia State.